everyone? I'm the Sodaholic, and I'm gonna do a review of the Halo Paramount Plus TV show. If you hadn't already watched it, I recommend you go watch it now. This is gonna be full of spoilies and doilies. Probably not doilies, but I'm gonna be talking about everything that happened in the show, what I liked, what I didn't like. And so yeah, go watch the show, especially if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. You get free perks that gives you 30 days for free for Paramount Plus. So be sure to check that out. Check out the TV show. Form your own opinion before coming to see what I think. All right, so the show itself. Let me preface by saying that I have been a long-time Halo fan since Halo CE launched. All right, since Halo CE launched, big fan. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I might be biased. It's possible. It's very possible. I could be biased. But I'm also not a person who is against change. A lot of people hated Halo 4. I loved Halo 4. I loved Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, the TV show that launched with that. Halo 5, hated Halo 5's campaign. Hated Halo 5's TV show that launched with that. But here's the thing. With Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn and Halo Nightfall, these TV shows were linked to the game lore. Okay? So everything that they have established in the shows have to stay in line with the video games. The beauty about the Halo TV show on Paramount Plus is that it can follow its own rules. It can make up whatever the fuck it wants to. And that is a blessing and a curse for a Halo fan such as I. I'm not against change, because the other shows have to follow the lore, or you risk the game, or you risk losing the complexity of those shows. But since this show, it's on its own level, it can do whatever it wants. So let's talk about the things let's get the negatives out of the way. All right, when I'm at work and we have a post meeting, we always go over the things we don't like first, and then we cover the things we do like. What I don't like, I have a huge problem with the fact that they're painting the UNSC as an evil army. Right from the start, they show the show opens up on a camp of insurgents on the outer rim of the galaxy, of the system, right? And they do not like the UNSC. The UNSC is like the military, the government of all the inner planets, right? And all the outer planets, they're not a fan of the UNSC. And which is fine. You know, the fact that there's human factions that's going against each other, one side doesn't like the other, I think that's great. I think having just multiple different factions disliking each other, that sounds like a very plausible thing to happen in space. But the thing I don't like about it is that they do, like, even when we go inside the UNSC perspective of how things are run, they make the UNSC sound super shady. They have the UNSC executing they're essentially ordering Chief to murder again. If you haven't watched the show, go watch the show. Anyways, they're telling Chief to murder this like 13-year-old girl who's the lone survivor of her planet after the Covenant came and attacked, right? And so for me, it's like, well, this whole time that I was, this might be the fanboy in me, but I've always had huge respect for the UNSC. I love the Warhogs. I love their weapons. I love their vehicles, right? And most of the time, they're the ones who's going to be fighting the Covenant. Okay? At least that's how it is in the game. And so since we're reaching already into the show that the UNSC does some shady shit just because, then it makes it hard for us to root for the UNSC. You made the UNSC, who used to be the last stand between humanity and the Covenant, right? They were the thing standing in between humanity and extinction. You turned this group of noble soldiers and Marines and the trust in the galaxy's military into what, the Empire? We have returning characters, Dr. Halsey, Captain Keyes, Miranda Keyes, and this is kind of a critique, kind of a not, but Miranda Keyes, Captain Keyes, basically all of our returning characters, they don't act like they do in the video games. Now, again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because Miranda Keyes, Captain Keyes, they were stoic in the games. But beyond that, here's the reason why that's why I like the fact that they don't act like they do in the games, because if you're gonna have characters grow and have different arcs that you're gonna try to expand on, that's the way you do it. You introduce characters who are imperfect and you put them through the ringer. Here's why I don't like the fact that they don't act like they do in the games. I don't fucking like them. Here's the thing. Halsey is Miranda's mom, which I don't think they have outright said it before in the games. I don't know if that's true or not, but they've turned Halsey into Miranda's mom, and Miranda and Jacob Keyes, because the UNSC is doing shady shit, they make Captain Keyes, who is all about protecting his fellow man and doing the right thing in the confines of the UNSC protocols, they make him seem like just another, like, I'm going to keep using the word empire, because when I think of like this overall regime that has no qualms killing children, I think of Star Wars: The Empire. So they make him seem like just another busboy, like, we have to do this, we have to. It's like the dude just got out of a war meeting, I guess, and then he just has these cups of alcohol and walks up to Miranda like, hey, you know that girl? We're gonna kill her. And Miranda has issues with that, and he's like, well, this is how war is. It's like, is it though? Is it? She's not a threat. Miranda Keyes, I don't have a problem with Miranda Keyes. She had a problem with killing a teenage girl, but it just felt very weird to see these characters who we know are great heroes, not just war heroes, but heroes. Like, they led by example. They led the charge. They're not afraid to put their lives on the line for the betterment of their soldiers, of the people. And just to see the UNSC just, again, kind of dragged through the mud is I'm not too sure about it. I'm not too sure. The other Spartans accompanying Master Chief, I think they're brand new characters. I don't think they're Blue Team. I don't think it's Fred, Linda, or Kelly. I think they're totally different characters. I could be wrong though. But they don't play as much of a role in this show, at least for the first episode. They're just there to accompany Chief. But at the end, they do this weird thing where Halsey's like, hey, Chief is kind of compromised thanks to this artifact that you guys found on the girl's home planet, right? Because, again, the girl is like the lone survivor. So they're like, hey, they might detain Chief, and if that happens, you gotta protect him. But the weird thing is, she's saying this out in the open while other Marines are getting ready to take down the Chief. And I don't like how we have amazing set pieces, amazing props, amazing costumes. Seeing all the Marines run into battle, armed to the teeth. It's seeing them, whipping around in the Warhog. It's so cool to see. But they're going against the Chief. I don't like ever since Halo 5, they kept trying to paint the UNSC as evil or Chief as evil, and I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it myself. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to show that this artifact that Chief found is breaking him out of his funk, right? He's breaking free from the chains of the UNSC. Chief was supposed to be the hope of the UNSC. He was supposed to be the best of the UNSC, not the bane of the UNSC, right? And so just seeing on the very first episode that Chief is against the UNSC, I'm just kind of over it. I mean, Captain Keyes told the Mac gun to shoot him down. I mean, obviously they didn't use lethal rounds. I think they used like some EMP cannon or something like that. But Chief's coming in the Pelican. They shoot him down, and then he uses the artifact, restarts the ship, and then they take off. So again, the thing I'm not jiving well with is, you're I don't know, the way they're treating the UNSC, the way they've kind of shown Captain Keyes and Miranda, because the first time we met them in the game, they were great people right from the start, but now they're kind of like, I don't know. But maybe that's an unfair assessment because again, I might be biased. I'm going based on the game, not the show and its merits. And I don't know if I could totally forget the game entirely, because if you're going to create something based on the source material, whatever you come up with should not be worse than the source material. Your show should not, if you have such a great example of how great and grand and how big in scale the show can be, or the canon can be, the show cannot be worse than that. You can take your own liberties and create your own strengths. Well, from this first episode, I'm seeing like the characters that they're using. It's just weird. The other thing that I really don't like, and this is something that other fans have shown their dismay with, I'm not jiving well with the fact that Chief has taken off his helmet. And before the show release, I was like, because it's not the same voice actor, sure, we don't need, it's not Steve Downes. We can do without the helmet. But seeing him take off the helmet was so weird. It's weird, and I'm not against it entirely. I'm like, I'm disgusted. Like, I'm not gonna boycott the show. I just think it's a oh man, I was gonna use a word that was not so polite. It's the safest route they picked, right? Chief in all the games have been able to show emotion by just his body language and his voice. And here's the thing. Other mediums, other franchises has been able to do that. The Mandalorian in this very first season, the whole thing was, we never take off our helmets. We never take off my mask. It's part of my religion. And yet he was able to convey a lot of emotion just by head tilting or his voice alone. V for Vendetta, right? With I don't know the actor's name, with Natalie Portman, that one. He has not the main character. I don't know if he's the main character, but one of the protagonists has a mask over his face the whole movie. And again, he's able to convey emotion based on his movement and his voice alone. And seeing Chief take off his helmet in this show, I felt like was unnecessary. They really, really, really should have took the time to build Chief as a character before he was unmasked. If you're going to unmask the Chief, cool. That should have been an end of season reveal, not the end of episode 1. And the fact that he took it off, and then he took off the helmet because the girl he was ordered to kill, she knew something was up, and so she picked up a battle rifle, aiming it at the chief. It's like, I'm gonna kill you. Chief is like, you're not gonna shoot. This armor is too fucking big. This armor is too fucking grand. You ain't killing nothing. But if you wanted to kill me, there you go. Right? He takes off his helmet. But then he leaves it off. And the whole time he had it off, I was like, you could have had it on for this scene. You could have had it on for this scene. Fundamentally, his lines aren't a problem, right? It's not an issue with his lines. But him not being able to have his mask on, it did bother me a lot more than I originally thought. And it's not because I think the chief... Okay, it is because I think the chief should stay masked. That's part of his charisma, his charm, is the mystery behind the mask. And again, I have nothing against the actor. Some people boycotted the show just because it's not Steve Downes. I don't mind that it's a different voice, especially if they're going to go in different avenues. But I think by removing the helmet, they took away an entire element of Chief's personality and his I don't know what else to say. Like I said, his charm. They took a whole layer away from us because they removed his helmet. And not only just removed his helmet, removed it for a long period of time. So, the UNSC being painted as bad guys, not a fan of. The fact that their returning characters are weird, or kind of a step back from what we're used to, not a fan of that. And the fact that Chief takes off his helmet for a long period of time, also not a fan of. Okay, so that was the negatives. The iffy parts. They're adding new characters. Halsey has a whole staff. She has a officer who's in charge of her, or like that is ahead of her division or whatever. They're cool. I don't have a problem with them. Like, you add new characters. Okay, cool. Love it. The other thing that's like I'm not against, I'm not for, is the Covenant looks different. Everything about the Covenant looks different except for the Phantoms and the Banshees. Like, the Elites themselves, they look weird, but not like Halo 4 weird. Like, they look like Elites, but they're a little bit different than what we're used to, and it's not a bad thing. It's very unique to the show, and I think it works for the show. It's a different breed. The Prophets look weird. The High Charity looks very interesting. And this is another iffy thing. They have this one woman who is now a part of what's it called? That's not a part of what's it called? That's now a part of the Covenant. And it just feels weird to see her in there like that. The reason why I'm not against it is because, again, if they're starting with new timelines, new story plots, they're going to explain everything. They're going to explain why she's there, what her significance is, and why the Prophets kind of revere her so much. They have a high respect for her, this new character. So, okay. Halsey is like the only person who kind of is staying the way she was from the games, where she's a scientist who values her work over anything else. And while Chief is kind of fucking up the plans of the UNSC, she's like, this is good. This is good. And Halsey's always been more about what her work has done. What else? What else did I think was this is going to be my segue into the things I do like. Some of the action scenes looked kind of corny. Not gonna lie, look kind of corny. I have a dislike for the insurgents' costumes, like their attire. I understand they're insurgents, and I understand that they're like. I think this is just a nitpick, but I just don't like the way they looked. I felt like it was, I don't know. I felt like I was watching Mad Max. Like they had this weird, really outlandish costumes that I felt like, I don't know. I think that's a nitpick, but I didn't like how the insurgents kind of looked. But now we're gonna transition to the things I did like about the episode, and that is I loved the general. The general is fucking badass, and I liked the action scenes. When Covenant were shooting at the insurgents, they were getting blown in half. Their guts were like not like Gears of War level guts, but like it was like they were exploding, being broken apart. Like they were dying. And most of the guts that we saw was from the elites. But just seeing them die and not being glossed over the fact that these Covenant weapons are really tearing up into these people, I felt was really, really well done. Some of the action scenes did look a bit weird, a little uncanny valley. Things didn't look so natural. But again, it's a Paramount Plus show. They don't have too much money in the budget. But for the most part, it was fine. I love the action scene. They showed the elites gunning down people, children. They showed the Spartans fighting the elites. I really wish the general stayed alive. I think it would have been great to see that. But what we got wasn't bad. In the first 20 minutes, it was just action scenes. And I really, really like the fact that we started off on this insurgent planet. They hate the UNSC, and Spartans just start dropping from the sky. And at first, they're like, oh, fuck, dude. Fuck, we're fucked. Now the UNSC is here. Now we got to fight these guys too. And then seeing Chief jump over the general, fight the elite, and then them having an exchange of nods. And the other insurgents kind of realizing that the Spartans are there to help. I really enjoyed that, and I really wish they built more upon that mutual trust thanks to this common enemy. But that's about as much as we got. So the action scenes themselves was really good. I think it's weird how, because they're all using humanoid weapons that fire bullets. The assault rifle, the DMR, the commando, the AK-47s are firing bullets just like the other ones. And so when you see a bunch of insurgents firing at the elites, and the elite's not dying, and then all of a sudden one Spartan shoots another similar weapon, and then the elites do die. That's where I'm like, okay, you're kind of not following your own rules. You're not really explaining, because I don't know guns. Maybe the UNSC guns are a lot more powerful than the insurgent guns. They didn't explain that. They didn't show us any hints that this equipment, other than the fact that the insurgents had ragtag costumes on and the Spartans had full armor. But that's in terms of defense. In terms of weapons, pretty much the same, you know? So overall, the show has promise. It's not the best. I wasn't blown away. I was blown away in Forward Unto Dawn. I hated Nightfall. This is a common middle, and I'm not all for it, but I'm still giving it a shot. I'm still hanging on. But yeah, that's just my view on the show right now. Things could get a whole lot better or a whole lot worse. But yeah, only time will tell. Let me know what you think of the show down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you giving it an honest chance? Is getting the game lore out of your head a difficult task for you to do, kind of like how it is for me right now? Let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments below. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing a review of every episode and other TV shows that I watch. I'm thinking of also hosting watch parties on Discord so that we can all see what it's like together. But well, this is all future plans. But for right now, if I had to give this show a rating out of 10, I would give this episode a 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10. It was good enough. It was good enough. Now keep in mind again, I've been a long time Halo fan. My input might be different from just another TV watcher. Some of their set pieces looked amazing. Some of them looked really corny. And I'm really wondering how the rest of the show is going to look like in terms of flow, characters, arcs, the whole shebang. Also, just a side note, the music not as good. Not as good. They'll start off with the Halo theme song, and then it'll diverge into something else, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, again, if you're going to introduce new music, the music has to be good, you know. It can't be worse than the last. So that's just how I'm feeling about this all. So yeah, again, tell me what you think. Tell me if you enjoyed the review, if you think I'm being an asshole and not taking in the complexities of the show, or if things are fair. Just let me know what's on your mind. And yeah, I'll check you in. We'll chat the next time the next episode comes out, which will probably be next week. All right. Until then, bye.